These are notes on adding and subtracting integers. You need a blank piece of notebook paper, and you're going to copy down each problem and then sketch out how to do it. We'll start with just adding integers. One of the ways that you can add integers is to use integer chips. You'll see the yellow and red, positive and negative. We'll use yellow to represent positive and red to represent the negative. When you use these, you'll always start by representing whatever the first number is. So that would represent positive 2. If I then put 2 negatives, that represents positive 2 plus negative 2. Anytime that you have a positive and a negative together, that is what we're going to call a zero pair. Okay, so draw that out, label that a positive and negative together is a zero pair, and those are going to cancel because they're equal to 0. So I can do that with both of these, and all that's left on the table would be 0. We're going to use the same idea, and we're going to start with 5 plus negative 3. You'll notice that the parentheses right here, I know when we did order of operations, we said do the parentheses first. It's done. There's only one number inside, so really we're adding first. The reason that we're going to put the parentheses is just to make it a little more clear. Sometimes if we had maybe 5 minus negative 3, it might just get a little bit confusing if it's 1 negative or 2 negative, so that's why you'll see the parentheses around it. So we're going to start right underneath the 5. We're going to put 5 positives. And it's okay if you just want to do plus signs instead of the actual chip. Okay, then under the negative 3, we're going to put 3 negatives. And now we're going to cancel out all of the 0 pairs. So we have a 0 pair there, 0 pair there, and a 0 pair there. And again, make sure that your notes have that picture. To get your answer, you're just going to write down what's left. And since we have 2 positives, our answer would be positive 2. Okay, let's do another example like that. This time we're going to start with 3 negatives. 1, 2, 3. We're going to add in 2 positives. Same as before, we're going to cancel out all of our 0 pairs. And this time we're left with negative 1 for the answer. So that's how you can add using the chips. Next, we're going to add using a number line. And we have Integer Man, and he's going to help us use the number line. I do want you to sketch out the number line on the top of your paper. When we're using the number line, if you are adding a negative, he's going to go to the left. It's kind of the same as subtraction. If you're adding a positive, he's going to go to the right. And I do want you to have those notes on your paper. Okay, Integer Man lives at 0, so I'm going to draw a little house at 0, just to show that's where he's always going to start. From his house, he's going to move to whatever the first number is. So he's going to start over at positive 5, and from there we're going to add negative 3. And when we add a negative, remember it's just like subtracting. He's going to run to the left 3 steps. So from here, 1, 2, 3. When you draw your picture, you can show that he's starting at 5 and moving 1, 2, 3. And then I usually circle the number that he ends at, and that's the answer to your problem. Now notice that's the same one that we did with the chips. That was our first example here. So it's just 2 ways to think about it. You can decide which way works best for you. Okay, now we're going to try this one. He's starting at 0. He's going to first move to negative 3. And this time we're adding a positive, so he's going to move 2 spaces to the right. So we still end up at negative 1. And again, your picture, you can do a dot at negative 3 and add positive 2 to end up at negative 1. Okay, I want you to try these on your own, so pause the video while you can try these 3, and then when you're done, you can hit play again. All right, let's check your answers on each of these. For the first one, we can start with 9 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to add in 11 positives. positives, and then we're going to circle all of the 0 pairs. So we're going to have 9 of the 11, which would be all of those are going to cancel, and we're going to end up with positive 2. Okay, next one, we're going to start with 7 positives. Add in 3 negatives. And when we cancel out the 0 pairs, 3 positives and 3 negatives will cancel. And we're left with positive 4. Okay, and the last one, I'll use the number line on this, just because we'll have more chips. Remember, you can do either number line or chips. I do need to add negative 11 right here. So we'll start here at negative 11. We're going to add 13. Which will get us to positive 2. Bring down the other part just like we did with order of operations. And then from positive 2, we're going to add 6 more. I know you can do that part without the number line to get positive 8. All right, next we are going to look at how to subtract integers. We're still going to use chips and number lines, so draw a line to show that this part's going to be slightly different than before. And this time we're going to start with 2 minus negative 3. So again, the parentheses just mean that it's a negative number. It's just separating the negative sign from the subtraction sign. Okay, this time we're going to start with positive 2. Okay. When we subtract, that means take away. So we need to take away 3 negatives. But unfortunately, we don't have 3 negatives to take away. So what we're going to do is add 0 until we have 3 negatives to take away. So if I add a positive and a negative, that's a 0 pair. And I'm going to keep doing that until I have 3 negatives to take away. Okay, again, I'm adding 0. I'm not changing the value of the problem. I'm just making it so that I can use the chips. Okay, now I can take away 3 negatives. So these 3 negatives right here, I'm going to subtract out. And when I do that, I have 5 positives left. So my answer would be positive 5. And we'll do a few more examples like that. We have negative 1 minus negative 4, so start with negative 1, and now we're going to take away 4 negatives. So let's add 0 pairs until we have 4 negatives. Okay, I only need to add 3 0 pairs this time because I can take away all of those negatives. Those are going to go away. And I will be left with a positive 3 when I do that. Okay, next, starting with 6. And then we're going to take away negative 2. So I need to add in my 0 pairs. And now I can take away these 2. And when I count them up, I'm left with positive 8. Okay, next one, start with 3 negatives. And this time I need to take away 2 positives because it's just minus 2. So I'm going to add some 0 pairs. And when I take away 2 positives, there are 5 negatives left over. So negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. Okay, next method. We've got integer man back, and the new parts you're going to add to your notes are that when you are subtracting a negative, it's basically the opposite of when we were adding a negative. So adding a negative, he's going to go to the left. Subtracting a negative, he does not go left, which means he goes right. Subtracting a positive is the opposite of adding a positive. So instead of running right, he does not run right, or you could say he runs to the left. So it's just the opposite of what we did before. We're still going to start at our first number, positive 2, and we're subtracting -3. So that means he's going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3. So your picture, you have starting at 2, 1, 2, 3, ends up at +5. Okay, next one, -3 minus 2 starts at -3. -2 means we're going to subtract 2 or move to the left. So we're going to go 1, 2 to get to -5. So here's your picture. And we'll do one more with the number line like that, or actually a few more. So the first one, start at +7, and my number line is going to be a little bit too small, so let's actually move it over a little. So we will have 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, starting at +7, subtract -6 means don't go to the left, so we're going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and end up at +13. Okay, move the number line back. The second one that's up there, we're going to start at -2, subtract -6, so we're going to go right 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we end up +4. And the third one, starting at -1, we're going to subtract 7 or take away 7, so we're going to go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And integer man ends up at -8. All right, the final part that you need to do for your notes is try each of these 5 problems. So copy the problem, you can use chips or the number line, whichever way you like best, and then when you play, you can check your answer. All right, the first one you should have ended at +5. The second one, the correct answer is +13. The third one, we'll do 6 plus -1 first, which is 5. And 5 minus 4 is 1. Next, -11 minus 16 is going to end up at -27. And the final one is going to end up at 0. All right, and then one last part for your notes. You may have noticed that anytime you are subtracting, you can also rewrite it as an addition problem. So what we're going to use for that is keep, add, opposite. If you want to use KAO to set up your columns, you can do that. So the first example using keep, add, opposite, you're going to put lines just around your subtraction sign. And remember, this is only for subtraction. If it's addition, you already know what to do. Okay, the first integer we're going to keep, you're going to change your subtraction to addition, and you're going to do the opposite of 8, and the opposite of 8 is -8. So we have -5 plus -8. Those two represent the same problem, but sometimes it's easier to rewrite it as an addition problem rather than subtraction. Now that we've rewritten it, we have 5 negatives, and we're going to add 8 negatives for a total of 13 negatives. So -5 minus 8 or -5 plus -8 equals -13. One big thing I want to emphasize is that adding a negative is the same as subtracting a positive. So you've learned subtraction, it's the same as adding a negative. Okay, one more example with keep, add, opposite. So remember the first subtraction symbol, you'll do your columns around. We've got keep, add, opposite. So 4 stays the same. Subtraction symbol changes to positive, and the opposite of -7 is +7. If you want to draw out your chips for this one, you can, or you can just know that 4 plus 7 equals +11. Okay, make sure you have your name and period number on your notes. This is what you'll turn in to prove that you did your homework the next time you have class.